Good morning and welcome to that Mighty SO Manager webinar. Today I will be with my colleague Eddie.
Hello, nice to meet you.
And Eddie, I'll let you introduce today's subject.
Yeah, today we will speak about how to rejuvenate your receivable aging balance. So for this topic, we are both project manager, me and Jeremy, and both former credit manager. So we used to work in credit for your receivable.
Yep. As for our company, Mighty SO Manager, we are a French company based in Grenoble in the French Alps. The company was created in 2015. Today, we are currently working with more than 1,400 customers over 85 countries. And we are the owners and developers of the Mighty SO Manager software. Back to you, Eddie.
Yeah. So today's menu will be to speak about the different challenges of the aging balance. We will also review the clamping method to be sure that you miss nothing when you work with your receivable. And then we will have a few words about the different steps to implement this method in your own company. The first topic will be the challenge of the aging balance. So Jeremy will have 3 points to see with you.
Yep. So, my turn to share my screen. Let me log on to my DSO Manager. Here it is. So, the first thing you see when you log onto my DSO Manager is the global view. In there, you'll have different reports. We wanted them to be visual so you can quickly see what's going on with your company, with your receivable. Here, we can see that we have the aging balance. By clicking on the aging balance, you will be redirected to the report tab. And in there, you'll have your aging balance. Um, that aging balance, you can choose the date on it to go to previous situations, but let's stay on today. The aging balance will give you the position in time of your different invoices. Just so you know, that's your company aging balance. But if you click of any of your customer in there, for example, that one, and you click on the reports, you can access your customer aging balance. So all of your customers have their own aging balance. These balance, you can download the graphs or export the data to Excel. By using the filters, you will be able to sort your aging balance. For example, in there, you can filter your aging balance by client groups. You can have your public customers, your key accounts. You can filter it by collector so that each collector or each sales representative can have its own aging balance. Also, with My DSO Manager, you can personalize your own brackets. For example, here we have 5 of them, but you can create up to 8 different brackets. The idea is to divide your brackets into relevant segments, because the wider your brackets, for example, 3 to 3 months, 1 month to 3 months, it's too wide, then your invoices will be drowned in the mass. And on the contrary, shorter brackets means too many steps. You won't be able to follow your outstanding and really identify the key problems that lead the invoices to fall into that or this bracket. Back to you, Eddie.
Yeah, and one last point so is about the aging right now. As you can see, we can group the results by default, it's by company. But of course, we can also group the aging balance, for example, by collector. And so we can compare the different aging balance for each collector. Okay, so it's pretty powerful tool.
Yep, as something I forgot to mention, Eddie, is that here we have the whole aging balance, but also you can focus on the customer level in there. There you'll have the customers and you'll have their brackets so that you know where the outstandings are for them.
Okay, perfect. So next we will speak about the clumping technique. So here is a method to be sure that you don't miss anything during working with your hedging balance. Let me show.
Yep.
Yes, we have another 3 points to develop.
Sorry. So, yep. So first of all, we'll talk about the express triangle. So the express triangle is more like a concept. So after 6 months of delay, only 50% of the receivable are recovered, while the time and energy needed to try to obtain these payments, to chase it, is increased exponentially. The more time passes, not only time and energy needed increases, but also the recovery rates drops drastically. So what you need to do, and let me switch there, is to target the significant outstanding. A significant outstanding is not necessarily the highest or the oldest. It really depends on the customer behavior, the situation. For example, a very significant outstanding would be late payment at a client on the brink of bankruptcy, for example.
Yeah. We can also have some specific point when, for example, you are working with credit insurance. You know you have some delay to claim your money and to declare all the significant or any overdue, which will be run down and so will not be covered anymore because they are out of delay. So for you, it's important to keep an eye, and one of these indicator could be directly as one bucket on your aging balance.
Yeah, exactly. And when you've done that, when you've taken into consideration the express triangle, when you've targeted the significant outstanding, well, the goal is to maintain this mode of operation. You just stick to a strategy. You select a strategy, you define a strategy, and then you stick to it. And thanks to my DSO manager, you will be able to control if what you've put in place is efficient using our different reporting, such as the DSO or the payment profile, in which you will be able to see the payment behaviors of your customers over time. And you will be able to see the evolution week by week. And that's the idea into my DSO manager. Your data and the payment behavior of your customer will participate into the reporting, allowing you to drive your outstanding. Back to you, Eddie.
Yeah. Um, so the next part is about the different steps to implement, how to cover these different points and where to start, because most of time when you use a credit management software, there is always a beginning. And so at this starting point, you need to be sure how to process to miss nothing.
Yep, exactly. And first step would be the invoice status follow-up. This is a crucial point in cash collection, and this you can easily handle it into my DSO manager. So if you go on an account, for example, that one, you'll have your statement of account. And in there, you'll be able to qualify your invoices. Let's say, for example, I had my customer on the phone. Here are all the customer data. I have the phone right there. I've just called the accounting and they told me about an incoming payment. What you have to do is select the invoices and apply a status. This is a three-step process. First one is to define a type. That one would be promise to pay. Then you have to choose a status. Let's say bank transfer. You can create any status as you want. Date, well, how about today? And now you have to put a comment. Let's say that the customer promised a bank transfer today. Then you have the second step. That one is optional, but it can be pretty useful if you want to notify a colleague. For example, let's say that in that case, I want to chase that bank transfer. So why not notify my colleague Eddie, who is in accounting? Let's give him a quick word. So, hello, Eddie, could you please chase the below payment? What will happen now is that my DSO manager will create an email that will be sent to my colleague Eddie at accounting so that he can track that payment. If I preview the email, this is what it will look like. The word I've put for Eddie, the comment I've put on the invoices, and because I've selected them, these invoices. Eddie now knows that he has to chase these payments and not other payments in the accounts. Plus, if you've connected your EDM connector, your PDF connector, you will be able there, but as your clients, to display the invoices by clicking in there. That was step number 2. Now the email has been sent, and now it's the final step. You have to define an action. You can either leave these invoices in the workflow to be automatically reminded, or you can create a specific action so that you can track it manually. Here we have a promise to pay follow-up. Let's give the customer a week and let's select a phone call, meaning that if in a week the invoices are still in the account, well, so will the action. And it would mean that the invoices have not been paid. So I'll have to call my clients to know what's going on. And then I submit. And in there, you can see that for these two invoices, I have a status. A bank transfer has been promised. And in there, well, we keep everything. You can see who did what and when. And that's the idea to keep a healthy balance. That's step number 1, to qualify your invoices so that you know everything that is going on with your outstanding invoices.
There will be a global percentage in My DSO Manager. If we go back, we have a dedicated report about the different status and commands that have been set in My DSO Manager. And by going on this report, you will be able to display how many overdue of your open item you have qualified. So here we have at least 30%, okay? Which means that there is another part which is unknown, and you will have to work on this point to know why all those overdue invoices have not been paid yet.
Exactly. These status, you can track them as well in this specific report. And as usual, you can export the data to Excel. Then we have step number 2, which is the implementation of collection scenarios. So in My DSO Manager, you can create as many scenarios as you want. For example, here we have the standard collection scenarios with the various steps in it. We started with a pre-reminder before due date, then an email reminder, a phone call, and so on until litigation. If you want to, well, you can create a scenario for risky customer with closer actions. You can create a foreign scenario in English, in French or in Chinese. And the idea is to put all of your customer in the relevant scenario. That way, same as the invoice status, you will be able to keep a healthy aging balance.
Yeah. Here we will be sure that we will miss no invoices in My DSO Manager because all your customer will have a scenario. So some of the actions will be totally automatized. So it's no work for your team. But then you will be sure to have some information from your customer, which can lead for dispute, for example. And then MyDSO will help you to track the resolution of these different disputes. So here it's very important to have the good scenario for all of your customers.
Yeah, exactly. And then the final step is the internal collaboration through the tool. In My DSO Manager, you are not limited by the number of users. You can create as many users as you want. Sales representative, create analyst, create manager. Everyone who's part of the order to cash process can be and should be created into My DSO Manager so that they can log onto it and see what's going on.
Because we are a SaaS software, so it means we are just we can access to MyDSO Manager every time when you have internet. So it could be done with your computer, of course, but it's also available on tablet or smartphone. So for your sales team, even when they go in a meeting, they can check the current situation. There is overdue, if there is a pending receivable from a long time, and also if there is some dispute to maybe check before seeing the customer.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, if there is anything that needs to be done, such as create notes, chasing payments, you can do it into My DSO Manager to notify your colleagues. Plus, you can track it and keep the history. And that's it for the steps to implement.
Yeah,
So
we have.
thank you all for attending this webinar.
During this webinar, I see we had one question during the meeting, Jeremiah,
Yeah.
and maybe some other will come. But there is one about how many aging balance you can have in My DSO Manager. Is there only one?
Oh,
Or
okay. Uh, it depends on what you mean. If if you are on a single platform, you will have your the aging balance of your entity, the global one. If you go on any customer account, you can have that customer aging balance. So that's for a single entity. But if you mean that you have in your organization, in your company, you have several legal entities, such as in that example, you have one company in France, one in China, one in Spain. Well, each company can have its own aging balance. Plus, we can consolidate everything in there to have a global world aging balance.
Which means the currencies will be automatically calculated in my DSO manager. You will have 1K currencies, and then each entity will be able to work in their own currencies. And of course, all the dunning action will be done on the currency of the invoices.
Yep, yep, that is an important point in a multi-entity, allowing you to handle several legal entities. The currency, no matter the currency or the ERP, we will be able to consolidate everything into one place. Okay.
Great. I don't see any other questions. Don't hesitate to everyone to ask directly thanks to the chat option or the questions option to issue some questions. We can take a few minutes to answer if you want. And it seems we have no more questions, so everything was crystal clear. It's a good point for us.
Yeah, half empty glass. Okay. Well, thanks for being there.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to have you, and please don't hesitate to contact us if you need any further information.
Yep. Thank you. And well, we'll see you next month. Bye.